Good morning and welcome to our final ISM Lunch and Learn webinar for the year 2017. Today we're going to be looking at year-end processing for Sage 100. Our presenter today is Ms. Ty Duncan Whitcomb. A little bit of housekeeping before we get started. All lines will be muted until the end of the presentation when we will open them up for any questions. If you do have questions that come up in the meantime, please feel free to type them into the question window or the chat window and we'll review them at the end of the presentation. Also, if you look at your control center for GoToWebinar, there is a handout section. We have added a handout for frequently asked questions on year-end processing that you can feel free to download. So with that, I'm going to turn everything over to Ty. Ty, thank you and welcome.
All right, welcome to ISM's year-end processing and review class for the end of year. We had one the other day, and this is going to be our last one for the month, but we are going to definitely record it so you can always go back and watch it later on when you have some spare time and want to go back over it in a little bit more detail. So first things first, we're going to start is you have to create a backup, especially if you are running payroll. You will need to make sure that you go into Library Master into company maintenance and you make a backup of your Sage 100 system into a different company code. The reason why you're going to need to be able to do that is that company that you create the copy of, that will be the company that you are going to be processing your W-2s against. AP for 1099, you don't need to do that against the backup. You can do that against your live system just because that system can hold history, and so it buckets the data correctly, so you don't have to worry about that issue. If, though, you are running the new Sage 100 2018, and we had a demo on what the new features of Sage 100 2018, the biggest piece is the new payroll. You do not need to make this backup if you are running Sage 100 2018, just for the simple reason payroll can now hold history. So the data automatically buckets correctly. You can actually go ahead and close your payroll, roll into the new year, start processing paychecks, and still have the ability to go back and process your W-2s for the prior year. So this create a backup step is more for payroll, but you can still do it if you're more of a cautious person and you just want to have that backup there just for some reason if you want to be able to roll back. All right, and then pretty much everything else in Sage other than payroll, you just want to make sure you go through and you clean and reconcile your data so you're ready for the new year. So you want to make sure you reconcile all your subledgers. Being that, you need to make sure that all your daily transaction registers are posted. Sometimes customers will find out that when they just go to just daily transaction register in any of the modules or even in GL, sometimes you'll find that prior employees did not post the daily transaction register. They posted the subsidiary, but they just closed out when it came time when it says, do you want to print the daily transaction register, and said no, and those registers are sitting out there. So you just want to make sure you go module by module, just make sure you hit all the daily transaction registers to make sure that they are all in fact posted. And then you would just do your reconciliation. You make sure the AR ties out and the AP ties out, and then run your valuation reports, and also look at your purchases clearing just to see if everything that's been received has been invoiced and vice versa. You can also run a few utilities in Sage, as you can remove all your old POs in the system, all your old sales orders in the system. Some people use this time to even archive their system off. So if you want to even archive your data so you can keep your data fresh and clean and running efficiently, some people also decide regardless of how many years, your data size might be getting larger, and you just want to be able to make the system move a little faster. Some people then decide to archive off certain years of their data. So I have clients that they're running data in Sage for the past 20 years, and then I have some clients that are running data in Sage for the past 10 years, and the system can't keep up just because of the amount of transactions that are processing through. The order of close for the modules are as follows: bill of materials, work order, barcode, purchase order, sales order, inventory MRP, time card, payroll, accounts receivable, accounts payable, job costs, and general ledger. If for some reason you do not own one of these modules, you'll just skip to the next module in the list and continue from that point forward. The reason why the order of close is so important is some of these modules roll down. So when you close purchase order, that information rolls to inventory and it rolls to accounts payable. And if it's linked, it could run to sales order and to AR. So the order of how you close modules is very important in the Sage 100 system. In inventory at this time, normally I always tell people, if you know you're running a bunch of negative quantities in Sage, try to make sure if you're not running your negative tier adjustments every month when you do your period end processing, at least try and make sure that you do it at least once a year, just so we can get rid of a lot of those negative numbers that are in the Sage 100 system. And then just also keep in mind that whenever you go to do your physical count, all your receipt of goods and all your sales order invoices need to be posted so that you can make sure that your physical count has an accurate account and the adjustment that Sage makes in the system is a correct adjustment to your inventory. General ledger is that one module that you don't necessarily have to close. I know it's on the list of order of close, but if you get to the very end of the year, you do not necessarily have to close that because you might be waiting for your accountant to give you your closing entries for the year. So that might be one of those modules that you close everything but the general ledger, and then once you get your ending balances or ending entries or your closing entries, whatever you want to call it, from your accountant, you can then enter that into the general ledger. Sometimes people don't get those until March or sometimes not even April. So you would then just go ahead and enter those into the system and then go ahead and close your general ledger. Or you can keep it open. Everybody's a little different on how they want to be able to handle that. Keep in mind, if you keep that GL open and you have not restricted what periods people can post to based off your security options, you do run the risk though of people posting back into posting back to periods that you don't necessarily want them to post to in the general ledger. So in accounts payable for this year, if you're running version 2017 all the way back, and I will go through which years are supported, make sure you're downloading the IRD from Sage. The IRD has not been released yet from Sage. The Acumatica download is available. So when next time you go into your e-filing and reporting in Sage, it will automatically prompt you for either the automatic update or the product update, or to download the update. But Acumatica has already produced, or should I say released, the forms for 2017. So you can go ahead and get those at this time. But you're going to need to make sure you get that IRD so that you can produce your 1099s and also your payroll W-2s for this year. So in payroll, you also need to do these tasks. You're going to do your 941s, your 940s, your W-2s, any ACA reporting that needs to be generated, and any of your state required forms. This, if you're running version 2017 prior, you obviously need to do this on your backup company. If you've already closed your 2017 year and you're already producing payroll for 2018, if you have not, for some reason, started producing 2018, any entries for payroll for 2018, and 2017 is still open, you could still run this in your live system. If you need to order forms that are compatible with Sage for 1099s and W-2s, this is the link that you can go to. You can also reach out to AM at Go ISM, and they'll be able to also give you this link for future reference, and also this number if you need to be able to, if you still need to order forms for this year to produce your 1099s or W-2s. So the IRD historically has been available the week of December 14th, somewhere in that time frame. So we will also let you know when that is actually released from Sage. The IRD you obviously will need for 1099s and W-2s. And then Acumatica, the next time you log in, and it's already ready. So if you were to go into Acumatica right now, it's already prompting you for an automatic update, and the 2017 W-2s, W-3s, and all that stuff is already available, and I'll show y'all that here shortly in the second. And then these are the versions that are compatible. So 2015, 16, 17, and obviously 18, which is just released. Those are the only versions right now for Sage that can produce 1099s and W-2s. If you are running a version before that, you would not be able to produce 1099s and W-2s in Sage. You can, but there is no guarantee that it's going to be compatible or that it will work. The only supported versions are the following versions. I do know that if you try to install the IRD on the 2014 version, it's not going to allow you to. So these are the versions that you need to make sure that you are on to make sure that it works. The IRD will work for your version that is supported. If for some reason you are running a version that is not showing on this list, if you're running a 2014 or prior and you need to run W-2s and 1099s, please reach out to am@goism.com and they will get you on the schedule so that we can get you upgraded to a supported version. So I just thought I'll throw this out here so you can kind of see what those supported versions look like. For the 2015 version, this will be the last year that you get an IRD so that you can run your AP and your payroll. So just make sure you keep that in mind. You will not be getting one after this year. So if you're on that version and you've been trying to stay on as long as possible, if next year you're going to need to run 1099s and or W-2s, you would need to make sure that you upgrade between now and sometime next year before it's time to run that. Otherwise, you will not be able to run that for version 2015. And then obviously 16, 17, and 18 are supported currently right now in the Sage 100 system, and they will be getting year-end updates. Keep in mind as you look at this list, as you can kind of see on here, version 2016, your last tax table update though will be the end of year next year, and you are no longer getting any more product updates. So even being on version 2016, just keep in mind you're not going to get any more product updates. You might get some hot fixes depending on the severity of the issue, but that's all even the 2016 version of Sage will be. So you would need to make sure that you get moved over to version 2017 and preferably 2018. All right, so I am going to dive into Sage. So let's go look at what that looks like. So let's go ahead and I'm going to show you where that looks like in us for the Sage system. So here is my Sage 100 system. I'm actually running a Sage 100 2018 version, and this is the new desktop for Sage 100C. So if you haven't even seen what the new Sage 100C desktop looks like, this is what this desktop looks like. So here in Payroll, here it is. It's called Federal and State Tax Reporting. If you are running an old version of Sage, it's actually called Federal and State E-Filing and Reporting. It's still got the new name, but the 2018 version actually has changed to the new name. When you go into Sage, it's the same Acumatica grid look that you had before. You're going to notice it looks slightly different in 2018, but you'll notice when I do the lookup in the system, I now have in the system the 2017 W-2 and W-3 available for me in the system. So you would just simply select the one that you were trying to run in the system, enter your information just like you've always done before in the past. I'm going to fill this in really quick here so I can kind of show you what it looks like and put a bogus number in there, and then it will automatically go through the process to go through your federal state tax reporting. So all you simply do on this is just follow the wizard the whole way through like it's been in prior years. Acumatica is the only way you can do this. You will notice that the old way of doing W-2s and the old way of doing 1099s is no longer available in your Sage 100 system. Acumatica is now the one that we do. So here's my information here. I've already done it before, but if I wanted to start over, I can. I'm just going to quickly show you what it looks like in the system. And it will just simply take you through all the forms that you need to be able to produce and print. So this time you will just stick your blank white paper or your blank perforated paper into the system, and you will just go through the system and print everything that you need to do. Depending on what state or where you're located, the system will automatically know to print your W-2s and all the forms that are needed based off of where you're located at. So you just simply follow the wizard through, loading the paper, how it tells you to load the paper into the system, and the system will automatically take you through and prompt that as you go through the system for all of that information. The only other thing is in the system, if you do the same thing on the AP side, it's no different. So I'm going to go over here in this one. If I go to my reports and I go to my Form 1089 tax reporting, and let me close out of here because I want to be able to show you that part. I have the same capability on my Form 1089 tax reporting. It also used Acumatica in the system. And actually, let me turn that on really quick so I can actually show it to you. It's the same way. It asks me whether I want dividend, interest, or miscellaneous. I would just select which ones that I want to produce for. Up here, you'll see my minimum button. I can put in what the minimum amounts are. I think the government is 600 for some of these options, so I would just put in what the minimum it is, and I will still do the same thing as I did before. I hit accept, and I would just simply follow the whole process through and produce my forms in the system. So that is all that I will end up doing also on the Atrix side. It's the same wizard. It asks you all the questions that you need to be asked in the system. Did you do this? Do you do that? And you will follow that all the way through. So I'm going to show you that really quick, briefly here. Let me see. Give me 1 second. I might have to switch my information and my years. So give me 1 second here. And I have no data. I had to switch. Oh, I should have been an ABX company, but it's the same wizard that you follow through on the payroll side. It's just the next, and Atrix takes you through the whole process. Keep in mind, Atrix, you have the ability for Atrix to actually produce all of this for you. They will print it for you. They will e-file it for you. They will actually even send it to the government for you on your behalf. There is a prompt. It's on the AP side, and it's also on the payroll side. There is actually a prompt in Atrix that will actually prompt you to see if you want to have them do it for you. There is a cost that is associated with that information, so it's just going to be simply up to you whether you want to spring for that cost. It is a slight nominal fee in terms of what they do charge you for that, so keep in mind it is not a free service. They actually do end up charging you for that fee. But it's just up to you whether you want to have Atrix produce it for you, or if you just select the option in the Sage system to print it to paper, and you can produce your own forms for you yourself. So Atrix, Sage/Atrix will actually give you that ability to be able to have that information for you. Produced. So here it is. This is one of the prompts that you will see. It will pop up asking you, do you want to use them? It's $1.99 per employee for this on this side, and they will do your W-2s for you. They will print them, mail them, and give them the ability for your employees to go back and get a copy of it online for future. And they will do your state W-2s, your employer W-2s, and your federal W-2s and 1099s. And here's the option. It will prompt you here, do you want them to do it all for you? In this case, I had 43 employees, so it's going to cost me about $85 and change to do that. But down here, you can have it where you can tell them you want to e-file certain pieces of it. So if you want them, say, for instance, to e-file your federal pieces, you can prompt them to do that. You can still print your own W-2s and print your state forms, but you can have them e-file just your federal W-2s and your state W-2s. I know Maryland is one of those states that I have a customer of mine that it's in Maryland that they have to do at least the e-filing of the state W-2s and reconciliation form, because there's some special fields that Maryland requires, and also Maryland's one of those states that force you to electronically report if you're over so many employees. All right. And then let's go ahead and do this last piece. And then online in Sage City, and then also if you go online to the Sage Knowledge Base, there is going to be a year-end section on there. And then also if you have any questions from us here at ISM on the support team, you can also email us at support@goism.com, and we will be more than happy to help you out with any issues that you might need help with to make sure you get through this end of year-end process. Also, if you will notice, there's a handout that we have put together for you that's a little bit more detailed that takes you through the year-end process. Make sure you feel free to download that handout as a guide to help you through the year-end process. And I'm going to go ahead and turn this webinar back over to Sherry.
Thank you very much, Ty. I am going to open up all lines for questions. So I am opening up the lines right now. I think everyone is open. Are there any questions out there? I don't see anything in the chat window or the question window. Okay, so I am not getting any questions right now. If something does come up, please feel free to email at am for account manager, am@goism.com. Please do not forget to get your IRD installation scheduled. It will be a busy time of year, so you are going to want to get on the calendar as soon as that comes out. And with that, I will wish everyone a very happy holiday and a very happy new year. We will be back for the ISM Lunch and Learn webinars in February. So look for our newsletter at that time. Ty, thank you very much for your time. This has been recorded and it will be going up onto our YouTube channel. It should be posted up there by tomorrow. So thank you, everyone, and take care.